Hey folks, thanks for being here again, and sorry for the urban noise. I'm in an urban area of Portland, Oregon today. I first want to thank everyone who left a lot of really generous, kind comments here and sent me some emails as well. So thank you very much. It really makes it worth it to hear the positive feedback. It makes it worth it to do more of these kind of videos. So as a thank you, I thought I'd do another quick one out here near my home. A friend of mine recently found a roosting Western Screech-Owl in this area where I am right now. And I'm going to go out and see if I can photograph him and just find the guy. I'm in an area that is kind of a lowland, deciduous riparian area. It's really a favored habitat of Western Screech-Owls in these parts. They live in lots of different types of habitat, but they especially like these deciduous riparian areas. So it's a cool day, and today we have sunbreaks. If you don't know what sunbreaks are, you don't live in the Pacific Northwest. We get a lot of fast-moving weather coming in from the coast, and these alternating periods of mostly rain, and then some clouds, and then little breaks of sun. So I'm hoping to get some decent breaks in the sun, or breaks in the clouds, and some very variable lighting conditions, and we'll see which way the owl's facing and how the light conditions are. And I'll just run through real quick how I photograph this guy if I find him. So again, I apologize for the urban sounds. There's a siren going back there. But looking for an opportunity here close to home in the city. So let's head off into the forest. Thanks for coming. So I'm in the area now that my friend described for me, and quite a ways off, but I think I already see the tree cavity that the screech-owl was using for roosting. And from here with the naked eye, I don't think he's sitting there, but I'm going to get my big lens out and have a look. It's pretty sunny right now, and this looks like it's a west-facing cavity, which is really good for the owl to warm up in the late afternoon before it goes out to hunt. And hopefully it will present some nice different lighting situations to look at with full cloud, full sun, and hopefully some things in between, which are usually the best kind of light in this kind of thing. Those times when there's that diffuse light right as a cloud is starting to obscure the sun can be some really nice light on this kind of stuff. He's not out there yet, so he may not show up today, but I'm going to move in a little closer and get set up a little bit, and hope that he comes out to enjoy this late afternoon beautiful Oregon winter sun. So as I mentioned, I'm in a pretty urbanized area in a green space and near a walking trail. And there's people out here walking their dogs, some people bird watching, just hiking around. And I, for the most part, don't want to draw attention to myself out here photographing this owl. I don't want people walking over, asking me what I'm doing, stomping by the tree the owl's roosting in. So I've actually put on this Tragopan 3D camo poncho and put this 3D camo on my lens and my tripod. And that has nothing to do with the owl. The owl will know I'm here. He'll be peering at me through squinted eyes when he's first trying to figure out what I'm doing. And it's more so, hopefully people don't notice me here and come stomping over here and interrupt the owl and interrupt me. So that's one thing I'm doing while I wait, is trying to blend in over here. So I thought I'd talk a little bit also about Western Screech-Owls. Obviously we have Screech-Owls across North America. Here the Western Screech-Owl lives primarily west of the Rocky Mountains. They live everywhere from desert to coniferous forests. But here where I live, they really like these riparian deciduous corridors. It's a really good habitat for them. They roost in cavities during the day, and And that happens all across North America with both eastern and western screech owls. You've probably seen photos of owls in all sorts of different tree cavities. They primarily like to be in cavities in the winter. When it's colder, they can thermoregulate better. And in the summer, they're much more often roosting in dense vegetation, unless they're nesting, of course, and then they're also in a tree cavity. Obviously, they have extremely cryptic plumage. Designed to blend in with tree bark, so they're extremely hard to find. So it's great to have a friend who will tell you and trust you with the location of a roosting owl. So my goal is definitely to take extreme care not to disturb the owl. In some places, screech owls can get very used to people in parks and areas with a lot of foot traffic if they're regularly encountering people. But an owl like this, it's off the trail a little ways, may not be used to people, and if you make a wrong move, you snap some branches, you get too close to the tree, it will very likely duck down into the hole, and that'll be that. So my approach will be very slow. I will make every effort to not look at the owl at all. They know when you're staring at them. They may look like they have their eyes closed, but they will be peering at you through a slitted, half-open eye if you're approaching real close to a tree. So I try to kind of mill around, work my way towards the tree, not like I'm going to the tree, and I don't look or stare at the owl. I want the owl to think I've never seen him. So I'll slowly make my way to a spot, not too close, slowly set up my stuff very quietly, again without looking at the owl, and then slowly raise my camera up to the cavity and just remain very quiet and still. So when the owl does hopefully appear, I'm not going to be filming myself. I want to be as quiet as I can and as careful as I can, and I'm not going to be talking over by the nest, so I'll probably add a little bit of commentary over my footage and shots if I get some, or do a little bit of talking afterwards, although it might be quite dark. So I'm still waiting, and hopefully this guy will pop up. And we still have some alternating clouds and sun, so hopefully got a little more time here for him to decide that sun sure looks good. I'm going to pop up in the hole and then warm myself before the cold night. So fingers crossed, and I will hang out here a little longer. After I signed off, I made my way up to a spot where I thought I had a really nice angle on the cavity. I wasn't too close, and I moved in as quietly as I could, and I waited. And fairly soon, the owl popped up in his hole. My first shot was in a horizontal landscape framing, and as you can see, it really introduced a lot of busy elements into the image and the bright sky, which I usually want to avoid. So I quickly made the decision to switch to a portrait vertical framing, and that was really to simplify this image and make the most of it. Once I was in a vertical framing, you're able to look at it more as a bunch of shapes. You have this big dark U shape of the cavity, you've got this lighter oval in the bottom of it, and then surrounding it you have this really consistent pattern of the tree bark. So I played with a number of options for the framing, some dictated by which way the owl was looking. A big part of this image is the tree bark. So rather than shooting at a wide open aperture as I might do if the bird was on an open perch, I wanted to bring out as much of the surrounding bark detail as possible. The texture in this image is one of the most interesting parts of it, so you don't want to detract by having it out of focus. So I increased my depth of field by using a small aperture, which necessitated a slow shutter speed and a tripod firmly seated in the ground. And this is an instance where, depending on your camera, you're best off using a remote shutter release, like a cable release or a pocket wizard, locking your mirror up if you're using a DSLR, or using your camera's timer in a pinch. Great lesson about this image is how the light came into play. Even though this was shot in the evening in what normally would be really beautiful light on the right subject, because the subject was side-lit and it was a very contrasty scene with the very dark tones in the cavity and lighter tones all the way up to white in the owl's plumage, it didn't really work for this image. There was way too much contrast. When I shot a few images with a fully cloudy sky, The image is much better, and I'd be happy with these shots in overcast light, but they're a bit flat and lacking a little bit of the life and color and dimensionality that some sunlight would bring into the image. In this last image, I really took advantage of the fact that we have these clouds moving quickly through, and this is by far the best lighting option for this image. To wait for those periods when the sun is just starting to be obscured by the edges of a cloud or just about to be revealed. During these periods, you get that really nice character and color and warmth of the sunlight that brings the image to life. So that worked out really nicely. I'm back on the trail now, heading back. The little guy popped up with about 15 minutes to spare, and I think I'll do some commentary over the images I shot and explain a little bit about the reasons I shot it the way I did, and a little bit about the light, because the light was really interesting. And yeah, I hope that was a nice little short vlog showing you a little bit of the life of a Western Screech-Owl. And again, I want to thank all of you for really nice comments on the last vlog. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, and I'm going to see you next time.